There's Lisa.
And let's start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With regard to the minutes, thank you again, Kathy, for all the work you do in that regard. There actually was one thing I missed on the minutes when I looked at them when you made them available, and that was we have a please join the next Board of Health meeting on Monday, December 20th.
Right. Saw that. I know we were going back with the dates. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a terribly relevant correction at this point.
Correct. Yeah, I know.
So that actually, I'll come back to that when we talk about meetings and all of that. But are there any other? Did anybody else find anything in minutes they'd like to amend, or correct? Then may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
The minutes are approved. So there are a number of organizational issues.
Should I just stop you 1 second?
Yes,
Do we
of
still
course.
post all this on the website? Is that still being done?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Kevin has been taking responsibility for that with the assistance of Mary Ann Cassidy.
Okay.
Correct, that is
And
still being
so, yeah,
posted on the website.
minutes and agenda are posted and available to the public. So organizational issues, the meeting schedule. This is our 5th meeting of the year. We're supposed to meet by schedule 3rd Monday of every month, and this is the 4th time that we haven't been able to meet on a Monday. The
Right.
reasons vary, and I apologize because I know everybody except the retired guys like me have busy schedules, and it may be hard to make those changes, but they have been essentially, I guess the rank order of priority would be the Board of Commissioners and the school board get dibs on the room over us, and then there have also been Monday holidays. And I looked at I asked Kevin to pull it up, and I looked at the schedule, and I think that our first meeting in January is a Tuesday meeting because the Monday
Yes.
is Martin Luther King Day. But after that, it looked to me like we actually might be able to meet on some Mondays. But I do appreciate, I don't know that there's anything else I can do. I do appreciate your flexibility. We could have moved to a small room upstairs for this meeting, but I thought considering what's going on out there in the world of the urban coronaviruses, I think that it was probably a good idea to go ahead and make this meeting a Zoom, even though I've never met Julie in person, and one of our longest legacy duration members has informed us that after this meeting he will no longer be gracing us with his insights and wisdom, and we will certainly miss Charlie. If you want to make a comment.
Well, I don't know about insights and wisdom, but thank you. First, I really want to thank the Board of Commissioners for offering me the opportunity to serve the township in this way. It's been a very interesting time, to say the least, particularly the past couple of years. And I really will be missing you guys. I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm sure the Board of Health is in good multiple hands now. I'm glad to see that it's almost at capacity. So have a very interesting year. Anything having to do with public health will have to be. Good luck.
All
you.
righty.
Thanks,
you,
Charlie.
And I swear, honest, with Marie coming back and Charlie leaving, if we had met in person, I was going to have a cake to celebrate for everybody. But I guess I slipped through on that one. So
Well,
my
you can
apologies
still
to
have a
both
cake, David. We'll wait for it. Don't worry about that.
And welcome back to Marie. There are 2 other things I want to take up under organizational issues. One is that on an annual basis, we elect officers, and So I just wanted to let people know. I'll work with Kevin to send out an email. If anybody wants to be chairman, they feel free to throw their hat in the ring. If you'd like to nominate somebody else, please check with them before you nominate somebody else. And then we'll have an election for chairman. I served as vice chair for a while under Linda, and I don't know whether that is a formal position or not. And Kathy, are you formally recording
Yeah.
secretary? You are formally.
Well, no, I'm vice chair, believe it or not.
You are vice
Yeah,
chair. Ah.
believe it or not.
So please, let's let Kevin, I feel a little uncomfortable. It feels a little like Washington when you have an administration that's responsible for organizing its own election. But I think I'm going to do my best to allow anybody who might wish to throw their hat in the ring or nominate somebody to be in a position. I did re-up for another term. I think the terms on the board are 2 years, and I will throw my hat in the ring for.
Oh, I think they're
staying on.
3. Dave, I
Are
think
they
they're 3.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
3. And we
uh,
elect chair and vice chair.
Okay.
The rest of the positions are just, whoever wants to do it, basically.
Correct.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I might recommend that you start recruiting somebody to help you out with the minutes.
Right.
And then the last issue was the website. Maura's not here, but Alex, did you have a chance to look at the new website? Do you have comments you'd like to make?
The comment I was going to make was actually going to be about the app, which just launched, the Township app, which
Sorry, the app, not the website.
whichever.
Yeah,
Yep. But while it goes along with the website being updated, is that we now have a Radnor Township app. It's just called Radnor Township on your app store. And one of the things you can do on it that's relevant to what we do is that citizens now, if they get the app, can make reports about things that could be public health nuisances like low-hanging wires. If there is something dangerous in terms of like, a dangerous crack or something in the sidewalk that might present a danger or, obstruct somebody who needs full ADA compliance, anybody can make reports of that on the app. So that was just going to be my announcement for anybody who's watching these meetings is go ahead and download the Township app and you can, make reports about those kinds of things if you see them.
excellent. Well, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. And if anybody else has a chance to download it and work with it and has comments, we can certainly continue to see if it has features that might be helpful for us. For example, a lot of what we have talked about has to do with communicating to the citizenry, and that might represent a new opportunity for us to get messages out if we feel we have important messages to get out. Does that comport with your sense of it so far?
Yeah, there a lot of the things that are on the Township website are also on the app, like resource list, police crime updates, sign up for the Township emailing list, those kinds of things. It's a lot of the stuff that that was on the website and that is on the updated Township website is also now on the app. So for anyone who's more comfortable using the internet on their phone versus on their computer, there's an app now.
Excellent. Okay, any other comments there? So the next item on the agenda is the health officer's report. Kevin is on the phone, I think, and has the health officer's report. And along with that, Alex was kind enough to take the time to ride with one of the contract site inspectors and prepared what I thought was a remarkable report about his experience with the inspection. So if I may, I'll turn it to Kevin and then to Alex.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doctor. So for November, as was alluded to, we are utilizing a third-party consultant to assist us with the food safety inspections. It's Barry Isett Associates. We have 2 individuals associated with them. Ron Rex is a inspector, and Anita Einoff is the health officer certified through the state. Ron is working under Anita's direction and is learning the ropes as we go. Important to note that I just became aware of that Anita has been out for the last couple of weeks dealing with some COVID issues. So while she would be normally accompanying Ron, bringing him up to speed on a lot of these things and learning the ropes, she hasn't been there as frequently as we would have liked because she's been dealing with this COVID issue. But all that being said, for November, we accomplished 21 inspections, plus one temporary event that was a food truck event over at Agnes Irwin. And then staff was working on following up with a previous dog issue from dog bite from September. We received paperwork from the vet, no issues, and the owner has reported back that the dog is healthy and in good shape.
Thank you, Kevin. So Alex, do you want to debrief the board on your report and what your suggestions are for moving forward?
So I'll keep it pretty brief. The input that I gave, I addressed with Bill White, our township manager, and Bill has sent me 2 emails since my initial email to him. He and Kevin, as I understand, have met and discussed the input that I gave after doing my observation. We're in a little bit of an unusual situation. When I did my ride along with Marie, we just talked immediately after that because we had an ongoing relationship. She was a township staff member. In this case, it's a third-party inspector, and it is an unusual situation for the county to take over something that previously had been a responsibility assigned to townships. That just doesn't happen that often. So we are, a little bit in uncharted waters. And as Kevin just alluded to, there are, some other things going on. So, like I said, I addressed my input to township staff. Bill has been very responsive. So I will continue looking at those inspection reports as they go up. And, I sounds like my the input that I gave is being taken, and inspections are moving forward, which is what we want, is to keep having inspections. So
Alex, I don't remember. Did you send the report out to the entire board?
I sent the letter that I sent to the township manager. I did,
Right.
yes, send to the board.
Yep, we got it.
So I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it, but it was a thorough and detailed analysis of the inspections that he saw. The first thing I note is that we should be incredibly grateful for the quality of the inspections that we had during the time that Marie was responsible for them. The second is that there may be a little bit nipping and tucking that could be done to improve the quality that we have through our contractors. And as Alex has pointed out, there may be reasons for that, and we can work on improving moving forward. And the third important point is how will inspections be conducted in the future? And I think that represents a really strong bridge to the next item on the agenda. But before we move to the next item on the agenda, our esteemed guest Marie, are there any other comments from the board regarding the observations and the direction we're heading?
Dr. Simmons, if no other board members, I can just follow up very briefly with that, but I'll wait until any of the other board members have comments or not.
No, go ahead, Kevin. I would like to how the follow-up is progressing.
Absolutely. So we appreciate the input. We always take the opportunity where there's a way to or suggestion to improve the process. We want to hear about it and look at that. We appreciate Alex's comments on that. Unfortunately, I became aware of the issues just late last week, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to be able to follow up with the consultant to get some preliminary information back. A lot of the things that became a Radnor standard aren't necessarily requirements, but they're good practices that Marie employed. Probably learned those from Larry. Larry learned those previously from his predecessor. And they're very good things to keep in place, and things such as logging violations that are corrected on site was not something that Ron was doing. It was something that Marie was doing, and probably Larry. Not an actual requirement, but something that is a good practice to employ. So it's something that we will be looking forward to improving the visibility on what the inspectors are finding, whether it's corrected on site or not, whether it's a critical violation or not. But those will be moving forward, something that will be noted, but weren't previously. And again, each health inspector throughout the state handle these things differently. But moving forward, that's something that we will note. So I think the number of violations that we were seeing in the reports were lower because there were a lot of those violations that were being corrected on site. So the inspector didn't feel the need to actually document those. But moving forward, we will correct those. And a few other things that there were absolutely things that needed to be tightened up. We've addressed those, or in the process of addressing those. Moving forward, that has, from what I understand, will be moving forward as Anita comes off of the COVID requirements. She will be following up more frequently with the inspections moving forward, so that Ron's not kind of out there alone. Thought it was important to maintain some level of inspection and not have no representation out in the field. So Ron was catching some critical issues, as Alex alluded to in his letter. From that standpoint. So I think the community at large is still being protected, is being well served by our consultants. Obviously, there are rooms for improvements, and we will strive to make those.
Thanks, Kevin. So with that, I think maybe we should have an item on our next agenda just to check in again and make sure we're moving in directions that we wish to go. And I'll close the item out with unless there's any other comment. All right.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Kevin.
So since we have two relatively new folks, I think about 30 seconds to put a perspective on who Marie is and why she is visiting back with us. And that is that public health in the state of Pennsylvania is administered by the state through the counties, and that is the only actual legally defined infrastructure. And when the pandemic hit, Delaware County had an historic legacy of not having a health department or a health commissioner. So in the interim, steps have been taken to build out a health department and appoint a health commissioner. And we were both unfortunate and fortunate enough to have our township health officer, remembering that we have our Board of Health and health officers at the will of the Board of Commissioners for township purposes. And Marie was our health officer, and she left to find the opportunity to help build out the county Board of Health. And we've maintained a dialogue over about a little over a year, I guess it is, with the folks responsible for building the county Department of Health. And Marie is here to give us an update on what is going on there and what it might mean, and to field any questions that we might have. So without further ado, Marie, would you mind?
I'm happy to. Good evening, everybody. It is so great to see you all. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, but it feels so great to see you all. So thank you for having me. It's great to see your faces. Thanks, Dr. Simmons. So I am the Director of Environmental Health for the new Delaware County Health Department. And I'll just normally what I do is I just give a little summary of kind of what we've been doing, what's happening, and kind of where the next steps are. I just hosted about 6 town halls over the last 3 weeks and kind of gave this summary to municipal leaders, business owners, residents in the community. So I can touch on a little of some of the items that had come up in those town halls. So the health department is going to consist of 4 divisions, basically. So we're going to have our Bureau of Business Administration, Bureau of Personal Health, Bureau of Population Health, and Bureau of Environmental Health, which is the division that I will lead. We did hire a health director. We were ecstatic to hear that she had accepted the position. So Melissa Lyons, who has not started just yet for us, is the current health director for Erie County, PA Health Department. I was fortunate enough to be involved in her interview process. I think that she is going to be a fantastic addition and a fantastic leader for all of us. She actually is going to begin shortly after January. She's staying in touch with our chair of the Board of Health for Delaware County on a regular basis and kind of monitoring things through her. So we're really excited to have her on board. We are, let's see, I think it was December 9th. We have submitted our application to the PA Department of Health for review. That's where the, I guess on the state level, each administration or bureau will review our application, submit comments or questions, and then, ultimately we'll get a decision for approval from the Secretary of Health. Since we submitted our application, we've had, I believe, some small kind of comments and questions or minor comments and questions have come back. We've submitted those responses, and they were meeting with our leadership team again. I believe it was yesterday. So we are anticipating our approval very soon. We're super excited. Once we get our approval from the Secretary of Health, we'll have 30 days to become operational. So with our submittal, we have to submit a kind of a 30-day start plan. And once that's ready to go, we're going to become formally operational. So I can speak now on environmental health in particular, which seems to be a topic for you guys right now. I've hired probably about a little under 50% of our staff. They have just completed their first phase of training. So they have had training on the state level from Department of Agriculture. I was able to coordinate state training through Department of Health. We had some local folks, specifically the code officials at Radnor Township, train them in plan review. So we were really excited to have our folks kind of learn from what I know as the best. So they are ready to go, so to speak. And as a team, we are coordinating the giant task of creating our zones, which probably is about 2,200 restaurants across the county, probably around 600 pools, and altogether somewhere around 5,000 facilities, which is what should cover all the facilities that we'll inspect. And that'll be, restaurants, bars, pools, campgrounds, organized camps. We're going to do environmental health, school inspections. We'll do sanitation inspections, private on-lot septic systems, private wells will fall under environmental health, and I can talk a little bit more about that later. So we are knee deep in finalizing all of that organizational logistical data. So we have made so much progress, and the town halls, I guess, as far as the town halls are concerned, some of the things that came up inspection related, mainly for food places, they were concerned about how if the inspection process would change, and it's not going to change. It should be very similar to what the municipalities are used to, or the businesses are used to seeing in their municipality. It'll be similar paperwork, might be a little change in some fees, not a huge difference in some areas. The inspection process will pretty much be the same. The inspection reporting process will be the same as Radnor Township, so we will stick to PA food safety for the time being. I think a lot of folks were concerned about being charged, I guess, fees more than once or double charging kind of when we take over. And how we're going to deal with that is if you've already submitted your fee to your municipality, then we will not charge you. However, if we become operational and we begin our inspection, we will, and you are not currently licensed, and you haven't submitted a fee to your municipality, your fees will come to the health department. There was some concern about the I guess the sewage permit program. And what I can tell you about that is, so that's a really specialized type of work. It is a lot of the inspections, a lot of the permitting process, a lot of the forms are overseen by an SEO. And it's a certification that you get through the DEP. It's a lengthy certification. It takes a little bit to get. We do not currently have an SEO on staff, but I have just put a proposal into County Council to contract out that division. And, we met with a local company who we all really thought was incredibly knowledgeable about on-lot septic systems, the water quality permit program. He wants to be involved in writing our policies and procedures that are a part of that area. So once we get that finalized, hopefully, he will come on board and kind of guide us through that process until we can get our folks, trained to be an SEO. We've had a lot of good feedback. Especially with the town halls. We are answering questions, we are taking phone calls, we are taking emails, and everybody I feel like is starting to feel a little bit better because we're kind of making our presence known. We have a plan in place. So, I feel like, although there was a little bit, maybe a little bit more than a little bit of pushback early on, I feel like people are, kind of okay with it, with the plan that we have in place. They're wishing us luck and they're hoping for the best. So that is helping as well. So it's kind of like a summary right there. So I'll stop there because I don't want to talk the whole time. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if I missed anything in particular, I'm happy to talk more about whatever you guys want.
Anybody have questions? I have a couple, but I'd like to field from the rest of the board before I do.
Well, I guess, Marie, they need is the cutover for inspections, but that will not occur until you get approval, correct?
Yes. So
Got it.
So, and we're going to put all that information out as soon as we get the approval and we have a date. That was one of the biggest questions. I'll be honest with you. When are you
I'm
starting?
sure.
What's the date? Are you
Yes,
going to give us
yes.
a day ahead of time?
Yeah.
No, I think we'll have a good amount of time to give everybody a heads up, but we're shooting for a mid-January-ish date, just
Okay.
based on the application process and where we are with that. So
will your go live be a moment in time, or will it be a rolling rollout? Will all of the different departments of the department go live at once, or?
we are going to go live. Yes.
All right.
We
and
have
so-
I'm sure you guys have all seen the phases of our health department.
Yes.
So yes, the entire list of programs and services that a health department provides will not be complete for years. But when we roll out, our environmental health is going to cover all the services from, we're going to begin everything right from the beginning. So one of my 4 kids.
It's all working
This-
from home. This is how we roll.
Hi, Mom.
Kids, cats, dogs, you name it.
The personal health and population health, population health, is where our epidemiologist, excuse me,
Yes.
has been working behind the scenes, since he got here. So he is knee deep in COVID right now. Personal health is continuing their vaccinations. They're doing their testing. They're getting their main building, which is the Wellness Center in Yading. They're getting their second phase of the renovation. So they're going to be, starting off with a clinic there. So we're going to be live and ready to go. So
Is there a website with org charts and mission statements and the other information that we may want to have a look at?
So yes, we've been working on our website for a while now, and they're promising it's going to be ready to go by the time we get our start date. So
And
Okay.
so somewhere mid-January, is that what we're anticipating?
that's what
I
we're
have
anticipating.
one other question, which you
Sure.
will be uniquely suited to help with, and that is, what should we in the township, in our advisory capacity to our board, be looking for as we have transitioned out of having health officer? What are the things that we may not be expecting to receive in the way of services at the county level that we will need to account for, replace, or do in from the township level?
So I think there were a few questions in there. So one, as far as environmental health is concerned, the county will assume all of the responsibilities for environmental health. So that's pretty clear. As far as, what you can do as a board of health or as a local municipality, and this question has come up in the town halls, I'm thrilled to be a part of this. I am on a mission to get this done, but I'm realistic in saying that we are going to hit some hiccups and some speed bumps down, as we begin, and probably all through the first year and so on. I anticipate those. I hope they're minimal. So what I'm asking, what I'm asking my inspectors to request out there is to communicate with the municipalities, encourage them to communicate with us, with the inspectors, because what we don't see, like I just explained, we have, we're going to be inspecting probably close to 5,000 facilities.
Right.
We don't know. We don't even know what to expect. We know there are areas out there that have not been inspected in years, and that's a fact. So we are going to hit some really challenging situations, and we're planning on how we're going to divide up those zones, who we're going to go to first, what the priority is, and it may change a few times. But all in all, we're only a group of 25 folks, so we're going to rely on people to let us know what's going on. So if there's something there that needs immediate attention or is a concern for the public's health and safety and well-being, we're relying on you all to kind of get that information to us. So it is important for my staff to be in the community, meeting all the business owners, getting involved as much as possible, so everybody kind of knows who to contact and there's no question. So that's a goal of mine. So I don't know if that answers all your questions, Dr. Simmons, but
Kind of.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think it'll have to be, we'll have to work through as we work
Yeah.
through and work with our Board of Commissioners as well, and our township manager and Kevin, to see what we may need to do. And as we take up new topics as a board in service to the township, be keenly aware of where there are newly forming infrastructure and people for dealing with problems that we might have wanted to take up, and it transitions now to the county. So I think we'll just have to commit to work together.
I think the message is keep the communication open with the county health department for any issue that we may struggle with. We can always get them from advisory capacity. So that's nice to hear. Thanks, Mary.
yeah, you bet. And I don't know if you guys saw, our health codes are on the website right now. So you could it's easy to find if you Google Delaware County health codes.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so even though we don't have a page just yet, it is on this health code page on the right-hand side. And you can kind of look in there. They're fairly similar to Montgomery County, Chester County. So if it doesn't fall in our code, the way I look at it is what I'm telling the inspectors, then, either, there isn't a regulation that exists, or there might be something on a local level that is, an additional requirement. So.
Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for the county. And I want to extend our thanks, and thrilled to see you. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure. It was so great to see you guys. Have a fantastic holiday.
You too.
You
All right.
too, Marie.
So our next item is the follow-up on school board relationships, and we've had a little bit of email dialogue on that, and so I'm going to turn it over to Alex. I would like to try and make this a decision-making part here, not a discussion of the details of content, but rather how are we going to go about. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alex.
So school board, we have a new school board, but it's composed of the same members as the previous school board because everybody who was up for re-election got re-elected. There is new leadership on the board. So Susan Stern had been board president. That's now Amy Goldman. I don't know if Maura had any updates on this, but for me, my communication with the new board president was that basically if we do want a liaison, then the next step at this point is we need to send a formal letter requesting a liaison. As you all know, I sent out a draft of a proposal of what we could send for feedback. And the feedback I got was mixed. I think, of course, normally, as a group, we would all want to, try to incorporate everybody's feedback into something like this. But when you have feedback in one direction that is add more stuff in and feedback in another direction that is, make it shorter, then, you can't take everybody's suggestion because those are, mutually exclusive things.
No good deed goes
So-
unpunished.
That's right, Alex, but hang in there.
And then, as you all know, my follow-up to that is, well, why don't I kind of take both suggestions and we'll see what that looks like. And people, if you have an example of both of those directions, then what does that look like? So, so you all now have received 3 different sort of draft letters from me with we each with a different letter after it, S, M, and L for shortest, medium length, and longest. So the L version is basically where I put all of these suggestions for additions into it. The shortest version is more the version of, well, if we don't give examples of anything and we kind of, keep it, as tight as possible, this is what it would look like. And then the medium length is kind of, I said, okay, well, what if we do one where it's not, every example we can think of, it's just kind of one example of a past thing and one example of a future thing. And so that was kind of, the in-between version. So with the addition in that in-between version of some points that Joan made in terms of fixing some things in terms of the language of the letter. So those have all been sent out to all of you with the hope that we could get a decision on which version of that letter we want to send out tonight. The caveat being that I think, David, we still need some clarification from Maura since we're an advisory board on do we send the letter directly to school board or are we asking the commissioners to send it on our behalf? So I think that's where things stand. is
So I think your last comment is most relevant to what
right.
my input related to the fact I had the sense that we had essentially had agreement on the part of the superintendent and the president of the school board that they thought it was a good idea, and
Mhm.
that the letter was transactional, cementing that agreement. If that is not the case, I would withdraw comment, and we could construct a letter that is designed to accomplish other tasks. If we're still trying to sell the school board on the idea, then including some of the great ideas, great contribution. But if this is transactional, anybody who's been in sales or worked with sales knows once you have the sale, don't blow the sale. And making a long list of stuff that you may or may not do, that may or may not be appreciated, is an opportunity to blow a sale. If we're trying to sell, then I think constructing a longer letter, touting our accomplishments and giving examples of things that we can confidently say we're going to go, then that should be included. So I have to turn it back to you, Amara, and say, I kind of think the decision makes itself if we have more clarity with regard to the actual purpose of the letter.
And just for historical perspective, we used to have a liaison. It was a staff member at the school, not the
Right.
board per se, but a staff member from the high school used to come to our meetings. And that kind of fell by the wayside. I'm not sure why.
Right. So, I mean, my understanding, the impression that I have gotten from the discussions I've had is that I had not necessarily been under that same impression that it was a done deal. But again, David, you've been on this board longer than I have, and I don't know if Commissioner Mulroney has communicated anything else, or if I'm misremembering anything. My impression had been that school board was open to the idea, but that there was some trepidation along the lines of that they feel overworked or overloaded, and are hesitant to assign additional work to either themselves or a staff member, and that was why it might be a good idea to kind of include that list of things in the letter. And also because it is also whatever letter we send them, that's kind of the only piece of our request that they will necessarily have as public record on their end. And so that would be the other reason, is that then when they are presenting and voting on it, that they have that list of things as a matter of public record on their end. So, I mean, that was my thought behind why I initially suggested that. But as I said, I also understand the comment that you had about that. And so, like I said, I think it's up to us as a group which direction we take. And
So I really have.
so I understand both angles to take.
If I have no insight from where we stand now related to what decisions might be made, I think Kathy's insight is actually a valuable one. And if this is not a done deal, then I think we have to go with the long form. My only advice there would be to I mean, these are busy people. They don't want to read 5-paragraph emails. So if you can have the top 3 to 5 accomplishments bullet pointed, the top 2 or 3 programs that we're going to go to, because the thing that you just said, if this does become a matter of record, you don't want to make promises that you can't or won't keep. Plus the observation that there is a legacy, an historical precedent for having a formal relationship between school board and Board of Health, then I think a long form letter constructed to deliver that impact makes sense. And I would withdraw the comments that I made about this being transactional. Anybody else have anything they want to weigh in on this? Does somebody want to volunteer to work with Alex to get this letter right? Or Alex, do you want to take it, continue to take the burden on yourself?
So I mean, I guess then based on what, unless anybody else has any input at this point, it sounds like the direction is to kind of maybe go with a slightly tightened up version of the longer form of the letter.
Yeah, he
with
has
the-
3 examples, right?
Right, but with the addition of the point being made that this was something that has already existed in the past.
Correct,
Does
yes.
that sound like an accurate summary of where we're at?
But it
Okay.
was not with the school board, correct? It was
It was the staff.
It was with this,
association
it was with a school district staff member, is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
So maybe not stating that it was with the board, because if somebody looks into it, they'll be like, no, it wasn't. But, just stating there has been an existing relationship in the past, and this seemed to be useful, for the school. I liked your medium letter. It's, but maybe just adding that information in there. That's my 2 cents.
Kathy, do you know what that person's title was? Who was the
Oh, I
liaison
knew you were
before?
gonna ask me that. Let me see if I can look back in minutes. I'll see if I get to that.
Yeah, I can also take a look at the archived minutes on the
Yeah,
newly updated township website.
I believe they were from the high school, and something with the either the nursing staff there or something with it was definitely from the high school.
Okay.
And it was a gentleman, it was a man, that's all I remember. I don't remember his name, I don't remember what his position was.
So do we have clarity ourselves? I don't think we feel that we need to have either a school board member or a staff person, but rather somebody who would represent the school board with the imprimatur of the school board to be a liaison, right?
Well, you want to make sure it's somebody that knows what's going on with the student health there, obviously.
Right.
That would be helpul.
But I think we're kind of saying that we're leaving it up to their judgment about who that
Exactly.
person is.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. All right, Alex, you taking that on?
Yep.
So wait, Alex is going to reformulate the medium,
Right.
I think we're going for in between the medium and the long, but
but
with
adding
with
history.
adding in the historical piece.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you. And if we're done with there, I'd like to move on. I want to thank Chief Flanagan for his patience and waiting to 45 minutes into our meeting to give his presentation. And,
Hi, Chris.
Thank you for joining us. We have had discussions throughout the meetings thus far this year about both highway safety as it applies to the citizens of the township, but also highway safety as it applies to the denizens of the township, the wild and domestic animals, and creating an environment in Radnor Township that will continue to support some of the things that we all love so much about a township with open spaces and plant and animal life that connects us more to our environment. And so, Chief, you've been kind enough to agree to come on board, and I'm going to turn it over to you, if I may, you and actually Joan, who has been one of the leaders in our group about forwarding this. So thank you both.
Thank you very much. And we are happy to always look at every situation with an open mind and a different approach or a fresh approach to readdress challenges, because as we know, things always change. They're never standing still. So we need to be on top of that. I don't know. I think Dr. Capuzzi, Joan Capuzzi, could sum up what the goals are. I have some responses of what we're working on based on the Board of Health's inquiry. And we also do a deer culling in the township. And that is part of making the township healthier and safer, not only for wildlife, but for residents and even plant life. So that I would just give you that as an example. There's always something going on in some capacity.
I thought Bill Gallagher had said that the deer culling was stopped 2 years ago, or hasn't been done in a couple of years, put on hold.
Dr. Capuzzi is correct. Last year, which, well, we're still in the same area. I shouldn't say last year yet. In 2021, there was no budget money approved for the deer culling, so we did not cull deer in Radnor Township in 2021. It is scheduled and approved to begin in 2022. And I should say restart, not begin, is a better choice of words. And that will include culling dates and 2 different times where we do a deer study, a deer density study, and that all falls under Bill Gallagher, where we'll actually go out and get a ratio of deer per square mile. At one point in time, at the height and the high level of justification was over 101 deer per square mile. We had a significant issue in Radnor Township, just to give you an example. Now, we didn't do it since last year, so I would rather wait till 2022 count to give you accurate information.
And Chris, those culling dates will be made public, so people are aware when they hear the noise, correct?
Whoops, my light bulb went out there. We
There you
do
go.
not make them public. We send a police officer with the culling team, and the police officer handles it based on weather and road conditions and off-road conditions. We often change how we cull, including how the team, which some of them come from the upper end of the state, we may cancel a date just due to their weather issues as well, because often it's done in the colder months.
So basically you're saying there's a police escort with the culling team because they're third party, right?
Yes.
They're not- Yes, got it. Okay.
We never compromise on safety or communication with our residents.
I mean, that would be my only concern is the safety of the residents.
It's always a top priority, and that's
Okay.
why one of our team is always with them at all times.
The deer culling a decision that's made at the state level?
I think the answer is yes, but locally we are responsible for it, and it is approved by the Board of Commissioners. But in other words, the state permits it and allows it by law and design. So I'm answering it 2 ways, but I think it's an accurate way to answer it.
Okay. And not to get off the topic, but I think it would be a good idea to look at that and look at how it's determined what an ideal number of deer per, I think you said square mile. Is that what you said? Or
Yeah, correct. We want to be in between the 40s and 60s. And I haven't had them come out and make a presentation for over a couple of years. It is something we could get together for the Board of Health or the Board of Commissioners, because they are experts in the field. So I think to Dr. Capuzzi's point, it's important for the community to know this isn't just some like willy-nilly thoughts that we have. We follow a very scientific procedure, accounting process. So we support what is going on here, making the township safer. And I did say residents, but I should say motor vehicle accidents have decreased, deer versus motor vehicle. And I know Dr. Capuzzi is also going to talk about how we can help other animals, but that is one of the very particular goals of the deer culling, is to reduce vehicle accidents and deer strikes.
I do think that, I think if we increase signage, and you said that there is some deer crossing signage on some major roads, some of the state roads like Bryn Mawr Avenue and Darby Paoli. But I do think that would improve the situation. I think the answer lies more with changing the way people drive than with killing healthy animals. I'm not in favor of deer culling. I know that the traditional thinking or talk, not necessarily in Radnor Township, but just the conventional thinking was that the deer are starving, and the deer are not starving, and there's plenty of vegetation. So I understand that traffic risk is an issue, but I think it's worth looking at, and maybe we could change the way people drive and their level of attention, which is often not present when they hit a deer. I know in the situation when I hit a deer on Darby Road about 5 years ago, I was flying, I was speeding, and it was absolutely my fault, not the deer's fault. So I think especially in areas where there are tight bends and you can't see around a bend, I think people really do need to be aware of how they're driving and take responsibility. So maybe that's something we could talk about in the spring, how those numbers of deer density are, how they're established, and if there's an alternative to killing healthy deer.
So I need to speak up here because I don't think the board has unanimity with that position. I was part of the hearings that we had, and when there were 100 deer per square mile, there was an issue with the health of the herd, as well as with the health of the township. And the possibility that there might be other alternatives may exist, but I think we could spiral into a discussion that we probably won't come to unanimity with the board today. So I wonder if we could may I finish? We can put aside the deer culling and have a more robust discussion on the deer culling. I think that traffic safety, the safety of our animals, and the signage is one topic that we don't necessarily need to spiral into what is always a controversial topic, which is culling of deer herds.
Let me just ask this question so we can resolve this right now. What was the issue with the health of the herd?
There was evidence that some of the younger animals were malnourished. Actually, I should turn this to Chief Flanagan. He knows a whole lot better than I what the story was. But 101 per square mile is a huge number compared to other places in the state and other places in the country. There are no natural predators, and the health of the vegetation, as Chief Flanagan points out. Listen, I have a garden. I used to have a doe with 4 fawns or 3 fawns come through my property every day, twice a day in both directions, which is unheard of. If you go to places like rural Pennsylvania, rural Ohio, you don't see does dropping 3 and 4 fawns. So it is a big topic. We could also get into the Lyme disease discussion, the highway safety discussion, but culling the herd is a big topic.
And Dr. Capuzzi, I think just to keep the meeting going for everybody, we're happy to sit down or get you in connection with some of our subject matter experts. We have a baseline knowledge, but I'm also happy to get you in touch with other people because I think all ideas are good to humanely deal with the issues that were just brought up eloquently by you and Dr. Wheeler.
Okay. So I think one of the things that came up in the meeting, in the traffic safety meeting, was talking about locations, roads that are heavily traveled by wildlife. So if anybody, if everybody kind of keeps observing the different areas and roads where they see dead animals, that would be helpful. And I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, and if I may, everyone, it's an important feature to the safety of Radnor Township. We have a staff traffic committee meeting that meets once a month, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. And on that second Wednesday, Dr. Capuzzi, we had the honor of having a member of the Board of Health there. She presented some concerns. We asked her to provide a list of areas where they thought some signage could be helpful. Now, too many signs are sometimes called sign pollution, but a carefully placed sign can have a positive effect. So I would ask anybody who had a concern about a particular road or seen a lot of animals and vehicle conflict that you submit it to Joan Capuzzi, who's going to forward it to our staff traffic committee. And just so you know, this committee talks about sidewalk safety, pedestrian safety, children's safety, playground speeding. So it is something made to try and make the community safer. So I just do a quick plug for that meeting, and anybody from the Board of Health is welcome to attend one of those to see what goes on, because we meet every month and it's an important feature the police department gives the township residents and businesses.
So Joan, you want us to send in recommendations if we see an opportunity for signage improvement to you?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Different roads. where.
So Joan, while this is an open topic, do you have intention to attend that meeting regularly? And do you want to make it a report back, or how can we move this forward to actually assure that we make progress?
Chief Flanagan, what's your recommendation? Should I attend the next meeting? Are we going to the Board of Commissioners next?
So there's two parts. Dr. Wheeler, I'm always welcome to send you our public records. So we have a monthly report that the Board of Health can review. We're happy to forward that to you once it's approved by the Board of Commissioners. That's one. Number two, in reference to Dr. Capuzzi's representation of the Board of Health at the meeting, those notes are going to be listed and they'll be put in. Remember, the commissioners meeting is basically 1 month behind our notes because of the timing. So the following month, it'll be brought up and it'll state what Joan just stated. And then we'll wait for that list of signs. And then once we get a list of signs, we'll go out and evaluate them and locations. And then we'll make a final recommendation, which will get put in the notes of action taken. And there was one other recommendation I had after hearing Dr. Capuzzi's very specific points and validated. We talked about having some of the Board of Health members, in particular, Dr. Capuzzi, maybe sit on one of our cable shows and we'll talk about how to avoid impacts in some of the high profile roads to avoid just what Dr. Capuzzi went over with everyone, but send that out in a message to the community, which should have some effect.
Wow, excellent. Is it
Great.
possible that we could use the new app?
Yeah, I was just about to say,
Alex, go
one of the features that you can do with the new app now is there's a citizen request button. You can, so it's not just us reporting it, anybody who wants to, you can even take a picture of the spot where you think there needs to be a sign, not actually just for animals, for anything. Now, that doesn't mean that, you take the picture of the app and 2 days later, Amazon has delivered a sign to that spot. It'll still get reviewed and everything. But if indeed, and I would say, I believe that would even include things like if you think there's an intersection where you see, you think there needs to be a crosswalk and there isn't, or you think there needs to be a no right or a no left turns, or, that is one of the things you can do in the app now is you can put in a citizen request for, like I said, all kinds of safety issues with your location and what your request is.
That is correct. And at one of the times with the manager's approval, we could get Molly Gallagher or our public information officer or Ian to give a brief description on how to call in all types of safety issues, whether a restaurant complaint, a code complaint, a sidewalk, speeding to make the township safer. We could add that to one of your agendas and broadcast that out to the township. But we have some new platforms as he's describing, so they're pretty exciting.
Great, because it sounds like there's great capability, and then public awareness will be critically important for exercising those capabilities.
Correct.
So is this a topic that I think that we should?
I
keep
have
this as
Joan,
a-
I have an action on we are to report into Joan anything we see and then to broadcast this new app with the citizen request button as action items, David.
Excellent, and I think we circle back and keep this an active, open,
Yes.
open business item. Yeah. Anything else we need to take up on this tonight? Since I've already run you over beyond the expected end time, and we haven't had our update on our students yet.
No, Doctor, if I could, I'm just going to jump off. If you ever need anything from Radnor Police, please let us know. Kevin Kachansky's on the phone. We work together daily. I'd like to thank the Board of Health. I hope that the county doesn't take the wind out of your sails. It's important having people who are in touch with Radnor's community. I think in their own words, that they have a monumentous task, and having us focused on Radnor, and Radnor staff is the best. I don't care what they tell you. Nobody delivers better service than our township staff. So, and not even fully functional yet. So I challenge the Board of Health, acknowledge your work and your volunteering, and ask you to remain steady during this transition and make Radnor better.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thanks, Chris.
We'll pivot and we're committed. So thank you very much. Or maybe we need to be committed, but thank you very
Right.
much.
Be safe and well for the holidays. I'm signing off. Thank you.
Yourself as
Thanks,
well. Thank you
Chris.
for taking the
Thank
time.
you. Happy New Year.
So I follow up on November public participation. There is no follow-up. I'm still working on that.
Okay.
And I'll give follow-up at the next meeting. Joan, I think, had said that she did not have, not to speak for you, did not have any follow-up that we need to hear from Maura with regard to progress on the health ordinances. Is that accurate? All right. So I think we'll forward that to the next meeting and go to the student intern project update.
Sure. So the students have been working on the difficult task of coming up kind of with their research proposal, what their methodology is going to be, and coming up with a timeline to make sure that, you know, it's going to be completed by our meeting where we will hear a report for them. Right now, we're in the process of kind of going back and forth with their plan. It has 3 steps to it, which they're planning to complete in certain months. Given time constraints, I'm wondering if we maybe want them to officially 5-minute, show their proposal next month, because right now we're still in the process of kind of going back and forth to nail things down. If that sounds like a good option.
Sure. So if it's an interim report that's not finalized and you feel more comfortable giving a more coherent update at the next meeting, then I'll just ask Kathy to put it on the minutes that we'll forward that to the next meeting. And
Got it.
In regard to that, I also want to thank Julie and Bob for their forbearance. At our last meeting, we talked about having them give us talks, but as you can see, it would have been a tough squeeze. So I think I'll work offline and maybe we won't put both in on the same date. But Bob had pointed out that January is Oral Health Awareness Month. Is that correct?
Oh,
And
perfect.
it might be a good choice to have Bob give his talk next month and maybe Julie to follow. So I want to apologize to them and thank them for the efforts that they may have already put in, and we'll be certain to get them on the schedule moving forward.
Yeah, David, I would just do one presentation because sometimes these topics take a lot of discussion time up. So
Absolutely. So is there anybody with new business to bring up? I don't think that we need a COVID update from me. Everybody knows it's pretty crazy out there.
I will tell you, I've been running around today. There are no antigen tests I can find to buy. My son's positive and I'm trying to find antigen tests. And I have a booster, not till January 18th to get a booster.
So
Spots are filling. Yeah.
Get your boosters, figure out how to do it.
Get on it. Yep.
The one piece of advice that I heard that I think is good advice is that there is a flow through of the rapid tests, Binax being one of the brands. I think it's the most used, and that what happens is they fly off the shelves.
Yep.
If you think you want to get one from a store that might carry them, you might want to go might want to make every day as Black Friday and go early when the store is about to open.
I did see the county doing drive-through testing at the Springfield Mall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's all the time. I happen to be at the mall and the cars are all lined up. So you might want to check the website for that.
I have taken my daughter there. It is most days, including Saturday. It's really the only place around that it's easy to get an appointment, and you don't have to have an appointment. You can drive up because if you try to go through a pharmacy, you usually can't get in. So it's a great option, especially if you need a Saturday test for like Monday school or work.
So it's every day at the Springfield Mall?
It's not Sundays. I believe
Not
it's
Sundays.
most days of the week and Saturday.
Okay.
And
Just let everybody know.
seriously get the results. You get your rapid within an hour, and you get your PCR. We got ours the first thing the next morning.
Perfect. Thanks for the update.
I think that's a national, state, county, and local level issue that we're going to have to ramp up testing. If Omicron plays out the way it appears to be playing out, it may be an endemicizing event, but we still have the end of the last large Delta wave, which does continue to have significant morbidity, mortality associated, whereas what I'm understanding from the data as it comes out, Omicron may be a less virulent strain, but we shall see. We'll know a lot more at the time of our next meeting.
If I could just say one thing about what the school's doing, just from having kind of experienced myself. So the Radnor Township School District, if you have a child that's been deemed to have a significant exposure, they have to have a negative test performed 5 days after, if they're vaccinated. If they're vaccinated, excuse me, they have to have a negative test 5 days after post-exposure. If they're not vaccinated, then they recommend quarantine. But that cannot be an over-the-counter. Has to be a medically administered exam. And starting 2 or 3 weeks ago, and don't quote me on that, but definitely this month, they started doing rapid testing certain days after school at certain schools. So this week, I know today after school, they had testing at Radnor High School, and they're instituting what's called, oh gosh, they don't call it stay to play, but stay to learn, which is basically if you've had an exposure, you can go through this system set up by the school in order to stay in school, be tested. Obviously, they need their parents' permission for the child to be tested. So that's kind of an update. I know there's school. I think the reason we're not there is school board meetings tonight. So probably get an update on whether they're continuing that program and mask decisions, et cetera.
Excellent. So is there any public, Ian, any public participation?
We have one person from the public on here, but I don't see a raised hand for public participation.
All right. Then with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. A full docket. I think we can, since we have so much enthusiasm, so many things going on, I think we can expect full dockets moving forward. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second. May I have a second?
I'll second that. There you go.
Meeting is adjourned. Charlie, thanks again.
Hey,
It's been
thanks, Charlie.
Fabulous. and
Thank
copious
you. I've
reading.
enjoyed it.
Charlie.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Charlie.
Merry Christmas,
New Year,
Happy
Charlie.
holidays. Be well, everybody.